Sophia and welcome to a handbag review video. I haven't done one of these in a hot minute, and that's mostly because I haven't bought any handbags in a hot minute, so makes sense. But I did recently get some handbags from Paris, so giving me the perfect excuse to film some luxury videos. Today we're talking about the medium Lemaire Croissant bag. If you haven't seen my Paris haul, I'm gonna leave a link. Pretty sure it's here. No, it's here. I'm gonna leave a link here and in the description box so you can check it out. I actually talk a little bit about this bag, but not a lot because that video was already long. So we're gonna talk about it today. I'm gonna go through my experience of buying it in Paris, pros, cons, as well as show at the end a really quick what's in my bag. The what's in my bag is kind of like a max of what you could fit. It's not necessarily what I would bring with me on a day-to-day. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So the purchasing experience. Paris Lemaire store is located in the Lemaire area. It is a very beautiful, simplistic store. It's very wide, airy, and there's a men's section and a women's section. The women's section is definitely the larger side, and when you go in, the first thing you see is actually all of the croissant bags hung up kind of like this, so to speak, in this way. So you can see the different sizes immediately, the different color options that they offer. And the first thing I saw was this sage green color, which I kind of feel like it's looking more green on camera, but it's definitely more muted in person. And next was choosing the size. So they had this in both the small and the medium. And so I tried both of them on because I wasn't quite sure. I feel like a lot of videos about the croissant bag say that the small is better for every day. But for me personally, I actually think the medium looked better on me, and the reason is a few. So the first is that even though I'm on the shorter side, I am on the chubby side. So having a small bag kind of looks weird with my proportions. And I also like that the medium one kind of sat a little lower in my hip, and that's just a personal preference. So it depends on how high you tend to like your bag to sit on you. I prefer bags to hit me at the hips, if not a little below. Easier for me to grab stuff that way. I don't like it when it's too high up. That's why I ended up going with a medium bag. And also I will say, when I tried on the bag in the store, because it was a display bag and because I'm assuming a lot of people have tried it on before, it definitely sat very different from when I first started using this bag, because it's a beautiful leather, it's very, very soft, but when you first use it, it is on the stiffer side. And so when I first started using it, it did take a while for me to kind of get that sag and that like softness, the molding to my body. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, that was my purchasing experience. It was honestly very, very pleasant. The sales associate was super, super helpful. I was asking her about, you know, how durable the leather is, and of course I chose like the most durable one. So yeah, that was my purchasing experience. So now let's talk about the pros and cons. I've had this bag for 2 months, and I've basically been only using this bag for 2 months. I have kind of used other bags here and there, but for the most part, this bag has not been in its dust bag since I took it out. Usually I actually just hang it like right there because it's just, I would just like grab it, dump stuff in it and go. So I feel like I can kind of provide an accurate pros and cons. So let's start with the pros. I'm gonna kind of start from outside in. So the first thing is I really, really love the color that I chose. Obviously this is personal to me because this is the color I chose, but I really feel like this sage green is really versatile for any time of year. If I had chosen a darker color, I would have felt more like it's a full winter bag. So if I'd gone with a brown or a burgundy or even a black, I don't know that I would use it as often. But because this is on like a lighter color, but it could also go really well with like a chunky beige sweater, you know what I mean? I just feel like this bag is really, really versatile because of that. The other thing is, don't be fooled by kind of the shape. You can fit a lot in here, especially because it can actually go pretty wide, and because of the leather, it can really flex to whatever you're holding in there. Of course, there's going to be a limit, but you know, for the most part, your everyday essentials 100% could fit in the medium size. Speaking of the body, I also really love the zipper. It is just the smoothest zipper I've ever owned, and I really love opening and closing this bag. It is the sound makes me so happy. I really cannot explain it. The leather also feels really really supple, soft, but also hard wearing at the same time. So anytime I'm wearing this with like shorts, or like I'm not wearing a long sleeve, so it's just like kind of like rubbing against my arm, I really love the way this feels. Even though it's like a grainy leather, it is still really soft. And I think that also helps with the strap. I love how wide it is. It just feels very comfortable to wear for a really long time, no matter how much stuff you put in it. So the wideness of it really prevents that soreness from kicking in on your shoulder, if you know what I mean. There's definitely a con to this for some people, so I'm going to talk about that in the con section. Speaking of the strap, I know I kind of talked about this in my purchasing experience. It hits me at the exact right spot, and it doesn't feel like I have to like really reach in to dig around for things. Like I don't have to bend my body. I will say the Uniqlo crossbody bag is probably the dupe for this bag. I'm not gonna lie. Having had that bag, I did not like how the adjustable strap would fall out as I was wearing it during the day. I feel like I shouldn't have to keep fidgeting and readjusting it, you know what I mean? I love the shape of that bag, but I just did not like how fidgety that strap was versus this. You can't fidget with it, right? This is the length you're getting. You can't change it, and that's a pro for me. It could be a con for you. Now let's go into the inside. I really love the beige lining. It is not leather. It is like a canvas material. I love the beige because it's really easy to find your things in here. The last 2 points is kind of to do with the inside, but I'm gonna close it because I just love how satisfying that sounds. But for the most part, this bag can sit on the ground depending on how much stuff you have. If you don't fill it to the brim, it can actually sit like this because of the way like the bottom is kind of stitched together. But the moment you fill it to like the top and it becomes top heavy, it's definitely gonna just drop like this. I personally don't baby this bag that much because it's kind of all leather, and I think the price point makes me feel like I don't have to baby it. So those are all the pros. Let's talk cons. All the pros kind of have a con corresponding to it in some way, shape, or form. It really just depends on what your comfort level is and what is your non-negotiable when it comes to a handbag. So even though I managed to find some cons for kind of myself, these cons are not non-negotiable for me. So it's not like that big of a deal in the long run, because I think the pros outweigh the cons by a mile. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's just get into the con. We're gonna start outside in again. So the first thing is the strap. I know I mentioned it's not adjustable. That's not a con for me, but it could be a con for you. The other thing that kind of bugs me, and again, it's not that big of a deal, is that because the leather is so soft and smooth, if you're wearing any sort of top with like a shoulder like this, so like I think if you're wearing like a tank top, like a spaghetti strap, then you probably won't have this issue. But because I'm like almost exclusively a t-shirt wearer, this strap will slide around depending on the placement of the bag. One of my pet peeves is when a bag strap kind of digs into my neck. It's really easy to slide across my shoulder to do that. Good thing about this one in particular is that there's nothing like hard in the actual strap. It's just the leather, so it's okay, but it's still not the most comfortable. There are kind of like different placements of how you can put this bag on your shoulder. The first is like at the front. That one is probably the most comfortable in terms of the bag strap because it is the furthest away from my neck. The other one is on the side on my hip. If my bag is very full, I actually don't like the bag on my side of the hip because it feels extra bulky, and it also makes it hard for me to walk because I move my hands a lot, so it does make it a little awkward to walk. And the strap is still comfortable enough, but it can still slide into my neck. The worst one is when you put the entire bag behind you, so like sitting on your butt. That really just digs right in. There's like no way around it. So I really rarely put my bag on my butt because of just that one reason. Now let's talk about the body of the bag. So the first thing is obviously I'm holding it like this, but when it's on the body, it's more looking like this. Okay, so that means when it is on the body and you don't have enough stuff, it can sag like this. And so it does make it a little bit harder to open the zip. Obviously the zip is very smooth, but when it is like this, because sometimes it does like that. I'm not even exaggerating, by the way. It does make it a little harder. And so the way to do that is you have to like basically hold this knot right here and basically hold it taut to your body to open it. For the most part, the zipper is pretty smooth, so it doesn't ever feel like caught in that way. It's really just the way the bag shapes that kind of catches the zipper. So it's not really the zipper's fault. Okay, now let's talk about the inside of the bag. I already mentioned the pro. The con is that this is just one big compartment. So things will slide around, things will land on top of other things, and you'll have to dig around a little bit unless you have some sort of a bag organizer. I don't think I'm gonna get a bag organizer for this bag, and the reason why is because I feel like if I get a bag organizer, it's going to stiffen the shape a lot more, and I want the slouch. So if you want the slouch, so you're not willing to get a bag organizer, you're kind of gonna have to live with the fact that you'll have to dig around a bit, unless you are one of those people. I'm not, maybe I should be, but unless you're one of those people who have little catch-all bags for little knickknacks where you can kind of organize it that way, that's probably gonna be fine because you'll know exactly where everything is. The other thing is, I do like there's a pocket, but I feel like there's not enough pockets. I don't know why there's only one pocket when there's real estate on the other side, especially because like for this pocket, like you don't really see, there's no stitching on the outside. So I don't understand why they couldn't add in 2 more pockets on the other side of the bag. You know what I mean? The other thing is, this is such a cute shape, right? But in my opinion, you can basically only put things between this stitch and this stitch. Maybe a little like further, but for the most part, think of this corner as dead space. You will not be able to fit anything in there unless it's like an umbrella where it's kind of longer, so then you can only put at the top. So everything ends up congregating at the bottom here, which, you know, makes sense, gravity and everything. If you think that you can use all of this space up, which is admittedly what I thought when I first bought the bag, you'll be wrong, because this side fits nothing. So that is basically all the cons. Like I said, none of them are that non-negotiable for me, because even for the dead space part, this is a medium bag, and so I already have more than enough space with just the middle compartment. I'm calling this a compartment now. This middle section, that I don't really care if this is dead space. You know what I mean? Like, it's like those kinds of things where it doesn't truly matter because I am already good with the use of this bag. That is it. Now let's get into what's in my bag. Now that you saw what I can fit in this bag, because obviously I'm not carrying my Kindle and my umbrella with me every single time I use this bag, I love this bag. My first impression is that this bag is worth the money, especially if you like to be hands-free. I also think this is actually a great travel bag because not only does it pretty much lie flat, you can basically like, nothing's gonna happen to it, you know what I mean? I really love how easily this is to travel with, to just throw on and just walk out, and I don't need to worry whether or not all my stuff is gonna fit, because I will say 9 times out of 10 everything will fit. If you have really bulky stuff, of course that's going to make it a little harder. So I think one time I had all my stuff in here, like wallet, keys, blah blah blah, and then I was trying to fit like my husband's raincoat, that plus all my stuff could not fit. But if I just had a raincoat, for sure it could fit. I hope this video was helpful. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer you in the comments. And hopefully I'll see you next time for another one. Bye, guys.